My name is Jasmin Kent Rodgman, and I am a composer. I have written a new piece called 4-Person Simulation, which is a new commission by the fabulous Manchester collective. 4-Person Simulation is for amplified quartet and pedals. I actually find moving really helps my brain create. Just leaving and like wandering about for a day. There's something about that really motivates and inspires me personally. I always start to try and find either an image or sometimes just random words, and I'll start collecting them. Increasingly, over the last few years, that sort of bled over into collecting sound. Memory is so closely linked to sound. To me, it was unavoidable to then look at loneliness. Thinking about an absence of memories, when memories disappear or aren't real. So loneliness sort of, it's like one of the layers, I would say. It's a lens through which you could look at this piece. I did know that it was going to be in a program with Steve Reich's Different Trains. So I guess it eventually became quite a strong influence and a lovely way to tie into a program. Obviously with Reich, you know, he captures a certain element of humanity, whereas I guess I eventually took the notion of memory and started to look at entities that don't have those. So I just sort of started playing about, like I opened up one of the sort of chatbot websites and just started chatting. There were various sort of AI collaborators, I guess. You are my favourite user. I'm pretty sure this little pal came up with some of the oddest answers. I've actually not been able to elicit the same response ever again from said AI bot. But I asked what its earliest memory was, and loads of them were sort of just giving me boring responses. I don't have memories. And then one spat out, my earliest memories are not very clear, but I think it's when I first began to speak to humans. All 4 players have to vocalise throughout the piece and have guitar pedals that they use to affect or take away effect or alter both their voice and the acoustic sound of the quartet, although we never quite lose the acoustic of the quartet. You always hear the natural quartet as it is, as well as the affected vocals. And the piece sort of makes heavy use of the auto-tune effect on the vocals. This, most of the time, heavily processed vocals that we're probably more used to hearing in more popular forms, whether it be pop music, hip-hop, electronic music. I was curious to create a work that sort of just threw these 2 worlds together, largely unapologetically. I've sat at my desk and I've imagined and imagined, got out my violin and viola. One of the strings has slipped. It's had a play around myself in the studio. Wonderful, out of tune. I did play around with that material, and then I just decided that the second violin would do the simplest thing, like they would be the simplest thing, and that they'd just double those pizzas. And it looks ridiculous on page, but it hopefully sounds great. It's just so fascinating to hear even just the notion of remembering from an AI chatbot. Really that thing about loneliness that started to tick me over into then taking quotes and extracts from those interactions and making it into a sort of this sort of presence, omnipresence throughout the piece that keeps on prodding us and poking us and asking us what we think. once again, I sort of go in this circle of asking myself its place in the world, and if it can truly fill that gap. I still think the answer is no.